Hard to think of anything lower than stealing the plaque off someone's grave, but it is happening a lot. And this desecration of a loved one's memory is done for what? Money. The scrap value. So to see someone try to right this wrong deserves to be recognised. In this case, it's Avondale Constable Adrian Heffernan. Michael Holland on a cop doing far more than just his job.
This is the old part of Waikimata Cemetery, back to the 30s or 40s. See, there's a grave from 1939, so there's a lot of history here. The cemeteries are your final resting place, and we need to be, respectful of that.
They're places that speak to who we were, and therefore who we are. But for some, in the here and now, reverence counts for little.
It's sickening.
When you're counting fast money.
It's beyond disrespectful.
It's about as low as you can go.
Yeah, real low. Now imagine coming in here in the middle of the night, you got your backpack on, a little crowbar, and you start ripping off these grave sites.
Just prizing off the plaques.
Taking them home and cutting them up into little pieces.
All for the sake of what?
A couple of $100 is scrap metal.
Police search warrant!
Arrested and accused of selling brass plaques stolen from graves.
And I don't know what goes on inside people like that.
Out of those callous goings-on, though, something above and beyond. Months of persistence and determination.
So it was a little bit personal.
Tipping the scales of human nature back the way we'd like to think they should be.
We were called by a scrap metal dealer. He presented us with a big blue bin with 50 kilos of cut up pieces of bronze plaques that had come off gravestones. And it was a matter of just systematically trying to piece them all back together.
Were you good at jigsaws as a kid?
My daughters are good at jigsaws, so I've probably learned something from them.
The mix and match revealing 11 identifiable plaques.
There's 2 that we haven't identified.
Spurring Constable Heffernan and his colleague Jodie Brown, that's her in civvies, to then track down the next of kin.
We put our heads together and thought, how can we make this right for these families that have done nothing wrong, that some scumbag has done this to them. My mother passed away a couple of years ago, and I just thought, if the police knocked on my door and said, oh, here's your mother's plaque back all cut up into pieces, I'd be pretty devastated. We thought, well, a nice little memento would be the actual plaques themselves melted down into a little memorial cross, and then the families have a keepsake.
Stage 1.
Melt it to about 1,000 degrees Celsius.
Turning the leaded gunmetal into ingots.
When Adrian explained what had happened in this situation, we were very keen to help in any way we could.
Those ingots then passed to a metal casting company, also happily doing the job for nothing.
Yeah, they're coming up really good. Nice.
And moulded into the finished product. Hats off to the local copper.
Absolutely. Done a good job, Adrian.
Thanks, Arthur.
Fantastic. It helps people you don't know, but it's damn good to do. It's quite satisfying.
Rounding out the generosity of local businesses, a stonemason providing new granite headstones, again for nix.
I think they'll be blown away. I'm blown away personally, and the families will be touched.
The material doesn't have a salvage value, so there's nothing to be gained by anybody stealing it.
Didn't need to do it, well beyond the call of duty, and an outstanding commitment from the police. Just great.
Fiona Gott's a long-time friend of the late Lola Lord, affectionately known as the Catwoman of Grey Lynn, because of her love of stray felines.
Yeah, so here lies Lola and her other family members. So her mother, father and her sister are all in this grave here.
Lola's ashes buried with her family just 3 years ago. Fiona and other friends adhering to Lola's long-held wish for her entire family to be commemorated with a metal plaque.
She could never afford anything as substantial as this to mark the grave of her family. So it was a really big issue for her, and she always wanted to do it.
Lola's and the other replacement headstones and memorial crosses will be presented to the families at a special service at the cemetery on Sunday.
It's like the heart of good old community coppering, really.
Constable Adrian Heffernan on the day of the service.
So I'll be proud, you know, to stand up there in my police uniform in front of the families, you know, to say that we did a good job.
A bloody good job.
Yeah, least we forget.